The Local Show, sponsored by Victory in Motion, home of knee repair, not knee replacement, on News Radio 570 WSYR, on 106.9 FM, and live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. The Local Show features in-depth conversation with business owners, employees, and influential business leaders throughout Central New York, exploring their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in our growing community. The Local Show is produced locally by Zoe Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
It's The Local Show. If you're here, then we are too. Thanks for joining us.
I'm not going to say anything.
Thanks for joining us. It's Tom and Steve, otherwise known as the Steve Roberts Variety Show. Steve is so into being popular and wanting
Tom,
people
you're going to talk about a text adulation line?
to admire him.
Here it comes.
That he has his own text line.
You didn't let me know.
You can text him. You can text him pictures of your pets as well as, little sayings and things like that.
Lets the audience connect with us, and people do. Thank you for doing that.
And when he says us, he means him.
Oh, my gosh. It's only because Tom lives in a cave. So when he's not broadcasting to the world, Tom's actually the most extroverted introvert I've ever met.
That's right.
You really are.
Well, yeah, but if you talk to a lot of, high-end stars, they're actually introvert people, but when they come on, doing their gig, then they come out of their shell.
You're not that person.
But I don't even have that going for me.
So what does that have to do with it? All right, 216-0273. Hey, you guys, can you guys get somebody else on, or can you shut up? Or thanks for listening. And we do appreciate the listeners.
Not only do you have to tell them the number to text you at, then you got to tell them what to text.
Yes.
Why don't you just give the number and say, text me anything?
Go with, I really like Steve. Tom is annoying.
You don't have to tell them.
They already know that.
Yeah, they'll text us.
All right, shift gears, Tom. Let's talk to this guy.
I was just thinking, can they only text you at that line? They can't do like an audio file or anything? Just a text. Okay.
It's a text. Oh, you were thinking that's an upgrade.
Yeah, what do you have, a beeper or what?
Oh, will you stop? It's a line.
We have a new person onto the show. Let's see if we don't send him off running with his hair on fire. It's Brandon Butler. He's the owner of Guardian Electric. How are you, buddy?
Doing well today.
Good. I got to know you a little bit in what we call the green room. Is it green out there?
It is green. The wall is green.
The wall is green.
So,
Not outside, just inside.
Inside,
right there.
How long have you been in the electrical business? Is this something that you've done your whole life?
For a good portion of it. I think this will be my 12th year in total.
Right.
I did 6 years with the union. And this is our 6th year owning the shop. So it's about 12 years altogether.
So what high school did you go to?
Actually, I finished in Marsalis. My family, we're a military family, so we were kind of here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
I was born in Tennessee. My sister was born in Georgia.
No kidding.
Here, there. Went to Germany. We were in Germany for a while.
Wow.
And then I ended up at Marsalis, and I can't say New York was so great. This is where I wanted to stay. That just happened to be where
Family's here, so
this is it. This is the dead end. And
a lot of people feel that way.
Right? Yeah. So I got 2 teenagers left in high school. I got 3 more years left, and then I don't know what we're gonna do. So
any electricians in the family?
My oldest son wants to go into the lineman crew.
That's a nice living.
I guess I told him. I said, listen, you could just take this over from me. I don't have to do anything. But he said, Dad, I think I want to go. I'm like, all right, man, just get out of here, go get after it.
So he doesn't mind heights.
He's all right, Yeah. Maybe for some reason, he's the shortest out of the brothers, so I think he's just used to try to get up higher to see everybody.
Those big electric cans that are up on top of the poles, right?
Transformers?
Yeah, the big transformers.
Yeah.
So what's the voltage on those?
A lot. I probably wouldn't touch it if you ever had the opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know that I want that.
Listeners are aching. It's and leaning into the phone or into the radio to hear this.
Right, absolutely.
So how many times have you actually electrocuted yourself?
A few.
Okay, because you touch stuff. I mean,
absolutely.
You're dealing with that thing.
I think every good electrician, even if you're a bad one, you
probably more.
You definitely get it if you're more or if you're bad. But everybody gets hit.
Where did all the electricians go? It seemed like, Tom, back in the day, we could list 10 electricians that somehow we knew, or we had a guy, or Dad knew a guy. There we go.
That's true. I think they're aging out. My stepdad was an electrician. He started out at the IBW in Long Island, and then he ended up going to the MTA, and he had a great career at the MTA doing electrical work. I have an uncle that's still in Local 3. That's the New York City local, but he's on his way out. He's starting to retire, and he's going to do inspections. There's a handful that are my age. I'm almost 40, and I know. For every guy I know of my age that's doing it, I don't even know one person that's 20 coming through.
I would think, I was telling my story. I'm not going to bore everybody with it, but the fact of the matter is that even though I was going to school for broadcasting, I left college for a while and became an electrician and worked for a guy in the city here, and I enjoyed it, and I think you can make a really good living at it. Am I wrong?
Absolutely.
With that? Yeah.
Listen, I drive a really nice truck.
Yeah.
It's lifted. It's got big train horns on it.
Yeah.
We got a handful of motorcycles at the house, and
you can make a really good living, and especially if you expand and have other electricians working.
Absolutely, yeah, that's the best part. I mean, I'll tell you this. I say this to everybody who thinks about coming into the field.
Right.
I don't hate this work. I enjoy it.
Oh, that's awesome.
To me, electric is just like putting a puzzle together in real life.
And you can do different aspects, right? Now, do you do mainly residential, or do you do a lot of commercial?
We try to do mostly residential, and some people see it the way that I do it, and sometimes it's like difficult to explain. But the long and short of it is we get paid quicker when we do work with homeowners.
Right, yeah, commercial stuff. You're on the end of the food chain.
Right. We actually had the contract for all the Monroe and Mr. Tires centers and stuff around here. And we did that our first 2 years when we were getting rolling, and it was great. We met a lot of people. We traveled to a lot of different areas.
Good, consistent work.
Right. Yeah. But we do jobs, and you'd be there for a couple weeks, and then you wouldn't get paid for 2 months afterwards.
That's just business. That's just big business. That's the way that.
Right. And we just did not have the funds to keep floating and floating and floating.
Yeah.
What's the number one call you get residentially? Somebody calls because of what?
It's just silly stuff. Like during the winter, actually, it's usually tripped outlets or burned outlets, and it's a lot of it's because of space heaters.
Space heaters, yeah.
We try to tell everybody, you have to be absolutely careful with what you're plugging into your equipment. When you got a house that, you got heat going, you got your kids inside, nobody's outside, they're not doing anything, so you got your whole panel just on overdrive going. Now you stick 2 heaters in there because you're cold while you're watching
TV. And then
TV.
Somebody blow dries their hair and everything trips.
Yeah, and sometimes people get lucky and it just shuts right off, but we've had quite a few instances where it will literally catch fire on the wall.
Oh, that's bad.
We get during the wintertime, I'd say we get one of those a month easily.
Wow. So how do you reconfigure it so they don't have that problem? Is their stuff so old they need a total upgrade, or where's that?
It depends. In the Syracuse area, in the city area, you do run into a lot of older equipment, a lot of older stuff. We try to tell everybody if you're dead set on doing this, and chances are they're going to plug in an AC unit in the summertime, springtime anyway. We try to recommend that they get a dedicated outlet, like near a window or near an area that is frequented. And in the houses that are newer and they're still doing this, chances are they're not going to want to pay for us to bring more electrical in after they've already had a new house built or they've had a remodel. But we try to tell them at least use a surge protector.
Is there anything maintenance you can do with electric, or do you just wait for it to break?
It's not like a car. You can't just go downstairs and get your soap out and just start cleaning stuff.
Right.
It's basically just keeping after, looking at things, making sure that when you plug, your phone chargers are going to be the biggest thing. When you're jamming them in and out of outlets, you're wearing the outlet down. You're pushing things around.
I thought about that.
And people keep them plugged in. I tell all my kids, unplug those things.
Yeah, and you know what?
Because they're like little heat knives.
Kids listen to you?
They are.
Yeah. No.
But you know what the worst is too is that that everybody walks through everything. So like I see one on the wall right there. I can tell you probably bumped into it several times.
Right.
You do that a couple times a day, and over time it in and out.
I have a question before we wrap things up. On the outside of the house where the meter is, and that's usually piped in.
Yes.
In my neighborhood, I see them pulling away from the house a lot. Whose responsibility is that to get
that's
that
actually a really great question, because we do get that call very frequently. Once the electrical utility hits the house from National Grid, the overhead line comes from the pole, hits your house. the homeowner bears responsibility once it touches the house. So in theory, if a tree falls on your line and it comes down, it gets pulled away, even though the tree was caused a natural cause, or maybe National Grid didn't trim their lines or something, there are instances like that. It's still the homeowner's responsibility to have that repaired.
So we'd have to have somebody like you come out.
Correct. Yeah. And if you're in the city of Syracuse, you do need a licensed electrician. We are licensed electricians in Syracuse and Utica.
Awesome. Well, we're out of time. Let's go, Brandon. Absolutely. If you need an electrician, everybody should have an electrician.
Absolutely.
560-7284. Everyone should have a guy.
Right.
I mean, you really should.
Guys are great.
You should have somebody. Guardian Electric. New York, NY.com. But give them a call that you can get a quote or whatever it is they're thinking. Maybe they're doing a remodel. 560-7284. Thanks for being here.
Sounds good. I appreciate it, guys.